Kia ora everyone, welcome to our Discover the Value NZMP Consumer Powders webcast. My name is Jordan Telfer and I'm an account manager with an NZMP SCA looking after the Indian subcontinent, and I'm going to be your host for today's webcast. Today is all about discovering ways to create value for you and your customers and differentiate your business within affordable powders. You will find out what matters to consumers through the latest consumer trends and insights, and learn how to create more value for them, and in turn, for you. Lastly, how you can leverage the rich nutrition of NZMP dairy ingredients and discover our range of affordable powders that can unlock new opportunities and help differentiate your business in your markets. We have a range of speakers today, including Shelley McMillan from Mintel, talking us through consumer insights and trends, Laura Anderson, who will present to us on nutrition, and Gerard O'Sullivan, who will walk us through the products and also a tasting demonstration. Now, for those of you who have requested and been sent the tasting kits, please have these ready to mix to try alongside Gerard's presentation as he takes us through the demonstration. So please keep these close and ready to go. During today's webcast, you will notice a Q&A box on the side of the screen. We are keen to hear what you think and answer any questions that you may have. So if you have a question for Shelley, Laura, or Gerard, please type this into the Q&A box anytime during the webcast, and we'll answer them at the end of the session. Finally, if you are unable to stay for the duration of the session today or get cut off due to poor connection issues, don't worry. A recording of this broadcast will be emailed out to you after the session has finished. Now, we have a lot of exciting content to get through today, but to start, here's a quick introduction to NZMP.
Every day brings new possibilities. NZMP is the global ingredients brand of Fonterra, with offices in 14 countries across 6 continents. We are known for our manufacturing scale, breadth of range, and deep dairy knowledge. Our pedigree of dairy expertise begins at home in New Zealand, with the families of pioneering farmers who shared a dream to bring the goodness of New Zealand dairy to the world, turning obstacles into opportunities to prove new ideas, inventing many new methods and products that the dairy industry now takes for granted. Today, we are continuously innovating to benefit our customers and ultimately the end consumer. We focus on finding new opportunities to make a difference. Together with our customers, our expertise creates new possibilities for the goodness of dairy. NZMP, dairy expertise that leads the world.
Welcome back. Now on to our first speaker today, Shelley McMillan from Mintel. Shelley is the head of consulting for South APAC, and she will give us a rundown on consumer insights and trends. Over to you, Shelley.
Thanks, Jordan. Really excited to be here today. But before I get started, just wanted to give a bit of an introduction around who Mintel is. We are a global organisation, being the experts in what consumers want and why, and provide our clients with market intelligence focusing on consumers, markets, and of course, innovation around the globe. But today I'm going to be talking to you about consumer insights focusing on health, nutrition, and value, and what does that mean for the powdered milk category. We're going to be covering some 3 topics today. So first of all, how are consumers' financial standing 1 year after the COVID-19 pandemic? What are consumers' priorities around health, food and drink? And how are brands responding to the demand for affordable nutrition? But first of all, what is value? Really, value is driven out of what consumers are willing to pay for a benefit or group of benefits. And that's going to be really the framework of today's discussion and insights. We're going to be focusing on 2 key areas around affordability, so price. And then we're going to be doing a bit of an insight into nutrition and what does that mean from a consumer perspective and how are brands responding. Really coming together and focusing today on that idea of value for money through affordable nutrition. So let's get started. From a consumer perspective, we're going to show some insights and statistics across some key markets focusing on how consumers' financial standing 1 year after the COVID-19 pandemic. It's no surprise that consumers are looking for affordable products, and we're going to highlight that through some information. Here we're seeing only 22% of Vietnamese consumers consider themselves financially healthy, with money left over at the end of the month for savings or luxuries. In Nigeria, we see almost 70% of consumers agree that it's harder to eat healthily when money is tight. And really, COVID-19 has only amplified this. Over 70% of consumers across some key markets are worried about the COVID-19's impact on their financial well-being for both them and their family. So there's some real tensions to deal with in consumers' lives. And it's not just about finances. Consumers are also concerned about their health and well-being. And again, this has been amplified through COVID-19. What's also driving this concern is the high proportion of household spend, with this idea of affordability being front and center. And of those core markets that we're focusing and talking about today across sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia, over 50% of consumers' take-home spending is on food. So a real concern and focus area for consumers when they're at the shelf. However, more than half of consumers think that healthy food is too expensive to buy on a regular basis. And again, COVID-19 has really only amplified that. So across some key markets such as Vietnam, Indonesia, Philippines, and Nigeria, when we asked consumers this back in December 2019, we've seen a significant increase in July 2020. So some real challenges when it comes to that household spending and helping consumers eat healthily. So how are we seeing brands respond to these challenges from a consumer perspective? We're going to explore some different ways to think about value and affordability through different formats, such as bigger pack sizes like we see here. Brands in South Asia have seen a trend towards larger pack sizes that help deliver on value. What's interesting about this trend is it actually was happening prior to COVID, and COVID-19 has really amplified this shift in the market. So just to provide some examples and inspiration on how brands are doing this, we see that more value and family packs are being communicated, offering generally a lower cost per 100 grams. I just wanted to highlight a couple of really interesting on-pack communications. We see brands really calling this out. So the example on the left, we see they're really highlighting in red there the value pack, or even the example in the middle talking about the grammage that they give for free. So really tapping into that consumer's desire to find good value products that offer great nutrition. But it's worthwhile noting that single-serve packs have an important role within the category as well, providing lower price points for those consumers who are really tight on their food budget. Certainly in markets such as Nigeria, we see this as a common format across many categories, including milk powder. Another strategy to help achieve affordability is through the addition of vegetable oil, and definitely a common strategy that we're seeing across those key markets of Nigeria and South Asia. It's worthwhile noting that across those other more developed markets such as North America and Europe, the addition of vegetable oil within formulations is not really very commonplace. I know Gerard's going to talk a little bit about some different ways that NZMP are helping consumers achieve affordability through strategies like this later on. Other ways to talk about value and reinforce this through on-pack is references through provenance and being a trusted milk quality standards. So again, some examples and inspiration from markets of focus. This example here from Kerrygold talking about the sourcing provenance story from Irish grass-fed cows, or even clean label claims such as pesticide-free or no hormones, like this example in the middle. Also, that idea of traceability, consumers increasingly are wanting to know where their products have come from. And innovation around smart packaging, like this example from Malaysia, allows greater traceability and transparency from a product perspective. But it's not just about the product. There are other ways that you can explore adding value. Just wanted to highlight this example here from Nestle Bear Brand in the Philippines, and some different ways and strategies that they're able to communicate value. Here we've got on the left-hand side, their communication around nutrition, focusing on particularly nutrients and the benefits that they provide. Another promotional mechanic with a bundle deal, buy 3, get 1 free, and really talking about that cash savings that consumers are going to get at the end of the day. We're also thinking about other ways and other promotional mechanics, such as these premiums that really connect with what people are looking for in that daily budget. So these examples here of offering free mobile data, or even helping people with their daily shop with a free tote bag here is an example as well. So definitely outside of the product, there's other ways to talk about value as we see here. So let's focus a little bit more around consumers' priorities around health, food, and drink. Again, we're going to look at how consumers are prioritizing these within their lives, and then how brands are reacting to this. As I mentioned earlier, now more than ever, consumers are looking for affordable nutrition to support their needs. When we ask consumers about their food and drink aspirations for 2021, very clearly some key areas came up. Overall, they're looking to consume more nutritious food and drink, seek more affordable food and drink options, and then also actively looking for a diet that reduces the risk of lifestyle diseases such as hypertension and diabetes. I know this is an area that Laura is going to talk about later on in her session as well. But from a product perspective, how can brands and manufacturers really tap into those key areas that consumers are looking for? What we see from Mintel research is that natural ingredients and a source of vitamins and minerals are key factors for when they're shopping for food. This isn't specific for the dairy category, but definitely one that the dairy category plays into very nicely. So now we're just going to showcase some examples from different markets and brands that really bring to life how brands are connecting to this desire from a consumer perspective. They're offering value for money with nutrient-dense milk powder, communicating this being targeted for the entire family. Again, we're seeing some different ways this is being communicated on pack. This example here, talking about vitamins and minerals providing multiple health benefits. From Vietnam, we see Vinamilk talking about the right ratio of nutrients for bone health and energy being a key benefit, or more broader communication being essential vitamins and nutrients for the whole family. Another key trend that we've seen is around the communication of milk protein and the benefits that they can provide to the end consumer. With 20% of all milk powder launches in the past 3 years having some sort of high or added protein claim, this is definitely an important claim for consumers and the benefits that it provides. But as I mentioned, there's lots of different benefits that consumers can get from protein, whether that be around muscle repair or growth, or even around growth more broadly in terms of development. An emerging space that we've seen, and no surprises, I don't know about you, but I'd love to get a bit more sleep every day. But consumers' concern around the amount of sleep that they get provides an opportunity to create a stronger association with milk and the benefits that they provide around sleep. What we're seeing is a handful of liquid milk brands within Southeast Asia connecting naturally occurring elements such as melatonin to sleep benefits. We're also seeing some brands, like this example here from Vietnam, connecting fortification of nutrients such as DHA, magnesium, calcium, and vitamin D to promote relaxation and a good night's sleep. So although these are within the liquid milk category, it's worth noting that there's opportunity to translate some of these ideas into the powdered milk category for your future plans. No surprises that immunity would come up in today's presentation. COVID-19 has really heightened consumers' awareness and need for immune-boosting foods. And then this is definitely a case across those key markets, with over 50% of consumers regularly including immune-boosting foods in their diet since COVID-19. And milk powder category is definitely providing and supporting the immune system with added vitamins and minerals. We see nutrients such as vitamin C, zinc and iron, talking directly to immunity. But also here we see combinations also of vitamins also connecting to overarching immunity benefits as well. So definitely an opportunity to connect with that consumer need that's very relevant right now. Another emerging space that we see that could be relevant to the milk powder category is consumers' interest in eye health, which is likely to gain more attention with increased exposure to blue light. Across some key markets such as Vietnam, the Philippines, and Nigeria, we see over 30% of consumers seeking a diet that helps maintain their eye health. And this is not just for adults. Kids with their exposure to blue light and many more screens also provide an opportunity to explore this idea of eye health. We think about the nutrients that we see that connect to this benefit, such as vitamin A, lutein, protein, collagen, and vitamin E. It's definitely worthwhile exploring given the consumer need that we see in the market. Other areas of interest that could be of opportunity for the category is around healthy heart, brain, and digestion, which consumers are also seeking health benefits sought from their diet. Some of these can be produced through inherent natural benefits of milk, but also through fortification. So examples that we've seen here from maybe more premium brands, but definitely could provide opportunity in the future with added ingredients such as omega-3, tyrosine, and fiber to support additional health benefits. So let's pull it all together and provide a bit of a summary of what I've talked about today. There's definitely a need to provide consumers with affordable products that meet their and their families' nutritional needs. We explored affordability through looking at large family packs and also small sachets. We see opportunities to innovate with varying formulations to reduce costs, such as the addition of vegetable oil. We definitely see the opportunity to dial up food safety and trust in the source of milk. And of course, we explored some non-product benefits that directly talk to value. In the area of nutrition, ensure that vitamin and mineral fortification is clearly linked to health benefits. It's what consumers are looking for. So those key areas of growth and development, obviously areas such as bone health and energy, and those emerging spaces of immunity, sleep, and eye health, which we talked about today. So hopefully you got a bit of inspiration, some insights into what's happening into your market or markets. And I'm going to hand back to Jordan, but don't forget to ask us a couple of questions. We're going to have a Q&A later on. And I really would love to hear some of your questions. So thanks so much.
Thanks, Shelley. There's some really interesting insights from consumers, and it's quite evident that the current economic uncertainty continues to put pressure on consumer spend. But it's good to see that the brands are finding ways to find values for consumers to meet their need for nutritious food. So as Shelley just mentioned, just a reminder that if you do have any questions about these insights, put your questions into the QA box and we'll get to it at the end of the session. Now, next up, we're going to hear from Laura Anderson. Laura is the head of nutrition here at Fonterra and will present to us about the basic nutritional needs of humans and the current gaps that exist. Take it away, Laura.
Cool, thanks, Jordan. Hi, everyone. My name is Laura Anderson and I'm the head of nutrition at Fonterra. Today I'm going to cover a few basics of nutrition. I'm going to highlight some of the key nutritional issues that affect our regions and just show how milk can have a real positive impact. So what are our basic nutritional needs? When you break it down, there are basic macronutrient and micronutrient requirements for our bodies to function and be at optimal health. Macronutrients are our main fuel source. So we have carbohydrate, which is our main energy source. We have protein, which provides our building blocks. We have fat, which is another energy source, but also a delivery agent for fat-soluble vitamins. When we look at our micronutrients, we have vitamins, which enable critical pathways in our bodies, and also they're like spark plugs to our engine, really. And minerals, which provide bone structure and also aid enzyme function. Fluids such as water is a real essential part of a healthy, balanced diet, as it acts as a lubricant, also a medium for transport and temperature regulation. So it will be a diverse and balanced diet that provides all that we need. Okay, but a large proportion of the world's population is not getting the basic nutrition needs, and you can see this in these malnutrition statistics from the World Health Organization and Action Against Hunger that show that 462 million people are underweight and 690 people are undernourished. But much of the evidence and the prevalence data on malnutrition is through the childhood years. This is due to the fact that the impacts of malnutrition at this life stage is far-reaching and is seen throughout adulthood and in our later years. However, we are seeing malnutrition and micronutrient deficiencies in adults and the influence it has on their health and well-being. The World Health Organization, UNICEF and the World Bank have produced the Joint Child Malnutrition Estimates Report, and they've done this annually since 2012. And so these are the statistics for 2021 report from 2020. Firstly, stunting. This refers to a child who is too short for their age, and it's a failure to grow both physically and cognitively, and as a result of chronic or recurrent malnutrition. Stunting affects an estimated 22% or 149.2 million children under 5 globally in 2020. Wasting, which is extremely low weight for height, and is caused by extremely low energy consumption and insufficient nutrient intake. In 2020, wasting continued to threaten the lives of an estimated 6.7% or 45.4 million children under 5 globally. In more recent years, it's been recognised that malnutrition is not just seen in those who are underweight, but those who are overweight. And this is seen as micronutrient malnutrition, as they're still not at optimal health. An estimated 5.7 or 38.9 children under 6 around the world are affected by being overweight in 2020. Some additional statistics for adults. We have 39% of adults aged 18 years or over were overweight in 2016 and 13% were obese. So most children with malnutrition live in Africa and Asia. So these statistics from the joint report indicate the impact of malnutrition in these regions. In 2020, more than half of all children under 5 were affected by stunting, lived in Asia, and 2 out of 5 lived in Africa. In 2020, more than 2/3 of all children under 5 affected by wasting lived in Asia, and more than 1/4 lived in Africa. In 2020, almost half of all the children under 5 affected by overweight lived in Asia, and more than 1/4 lived in Africa. So some statistics from the joint report further highlights what specific parts of the region are experiencing the impact of malnutrition, with more than half of all children under 5 years old affected by wasting located in the Southern Asia region, so that's India and Bangladesh. So one result of malnutrition is the impact it has on micronutrient deficiencies, which remain a significant issue. Looking at iron here, 42% of children less than 5 years of age and 40% of pregnant women worldwide are anemic. With calcium, 200 million women worldwide are affected by osteoporosis. With zinc, it's estimated that up to 17% of the global population is at risk for inadequate zinc intake. And zinc's really important, and iron as well, are important nutrients in supporting our immune health. We have protein here. An estimated 1 billion people worldwide suffer from inadequate protein intake, and that inadequate protein intake can lead to the stunted growth and wasting in children. With vitamin D, about 1 billion people worldwide have vitamin D deficiency, while 50% of the population are vitamin D insufficient. And vitamin D is an important nutrient for healthy bones and muscles. Lastly, vitamin A. Approximately 30% of children less than 5 years of age are vitamin A deficient, and that's the leading, vitamin A deficiency is the leading cause of childhood blindness and death. So I just want to take you through some prevalence maps here. So this first one here is the prevalence data for anemia in women of reproductive age. So that's between 15 and 49 years of age. And you can see here that moderate to severe prevalence rates of anemia across Southeast Asia and then into Africa. And these statistics are not taking into consideration those who are iron deficient but not anemic, but could still benefit from increasing their iron intakes. Here's some prevalence data of vitamin A deficiency in children under 5 years of age. And that progress in eliminating vitamin A deficiency has been significant in the Eastern Asia region, but less progress has been seen or made in the Southern Asia, where you can see much higher prevalence rates with those darker shaded red areas. Okay, well, let's move into the benefits of milk. With more than 7 essential nutrients, milk can help support strong bones, heart health, immunity, and a healthy body weight. Milk is a major source of dietary energy, high-quality protein, and fat. It can make a significant contribution to meeting the required nutrient takes for the following nutrients, micronutrients: calcium for strong bones, riboflavin for healthy skin, nails, and hair, niacin for energy metabolism, vitamin B12 that helps transport the iron around your body, phosphorus which helps maintain the body's pH, and is a source of potassium that helps maintain our blood pressure. So bioavailability of some of these nutrients in milk, for example calcium, is actually higher compared to other foods in the diet. So milk is consumed in many formats, which brings their own benefits. Milk powder in particular is one of the most affordable sources of milk nutrition. It tastes great, is an excellent base for fortification of nutrients where there are significant gaps in consumer diets. And milk powder can reach populations where with nutrition where there is no cool chain and is more tolerant of extreme conditions than UHT milk. And some nutrients that are commonly fortified or added to milk powder are vitamin A, vitamin D, zinc and iron. So milk and dairy products play an integral role in addressing nutrition needs. It's nutrient dense, so providing essential micronutrients often lacking in the diet. It has essential nutrients for healthy growth and development, including high quality protein and that readily available calcium. It has protein to support sustained energy, satiety and a healthy body composition. It has key nutrients to support healthy aging. And dairy consumption may help reduce the risk of non-communicable diseases as part of a healthy diet, such as cardiovascular disease, diabetes, or obesity. So local public health authorities do recommend dairy as part of a healthy diet, and it's because they acknowledge that milk and dairy products play an important role in diversifying the diet. So I've got some examples here from Malaysia and the Philippines, but most local dietary guidelines recommend 1 to 3 serves of milk and dairy products or milk alternatives each day. And this is even seen in markets where milk is not part of the traditional diet. So just to summarise, our basic nutritional needs include macronutrients, micronutrients and fluids. Malnutrition is an important issue and it's seen as a double burden with both overweight and underweight being a concern. The impacts of malnutrition is seen in higher rates in Asia and in Africa. Micronutrient deficiencies remain a significant issue. Milk and dairy products provide multiple essential nutrients and can play an integral role in addressing nutritional needs. And lastly, most local dietary guidelines recommend milk and dairy product consumption as part of a healthy diet and lifestyle. That's it for me. Thank you for listening. I hope you learned something new today, and I'll just hand it back over to Jordan. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. It's pretty alarming to see the impacts of poor nutrition, especially malnutrition and its significant presence across Asia and Africa. There's some pretty confronting statistics. Next up, we have Gerard O'Sullivan. Gerard is a technical engagement manager within our Consumer Powders team. Many of you will know Gerard from engagements over the years and likely hosted him in your offices. Now today, Gerard is going to talk us through why the insights from the past two presentations matter and how they link to our affordable range of products. He will also lead us through a tasting of these products to ensure that you have your kits on hand ready to join in. Gerard, back in Shelley's presentation, there was a slide which mentioned formulations, which are helping create value for consumers while meeting the nutritional needs they desire. So I'm looking forward to your presentation, showcasing 3 of our ingredients today, which meet these needs. Gerard, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Jordan. Yeah, that's a really important insight. And I hope that you'll see that we've designed our products not only to meet what consumers perceive as their nutritional needs, but also true nutritional gaps. We find that the needs driving consumer purchasing decisions vary, but there are some leading themes. For nutrition, consideration should be given to both of the real nutritional needs and deficiencies and consumer trends regarding nutritional claims. The difference between what they need and what drives purchase decisions. Affordability and value for money are important to differentiate. Surveys show that price is less important than value for money. Taste is always very important, but preferences and tolerances vary. For example, in markets where there is a strong dairy heritage, we find the unique flavour of milk fat is greatly valued. But in other markets, creamy texture is enough. And of course, the ease of use is really important. How it mixes or how it performs in household applications are very important. As a result, we've built a wide portfolio of products. While we will focus today on the 3 powders framed here in red, firstly I want to briefly touch on the others. Starting on the left with Gold Instant Whole Milk Powder, this powder carries our highest performance guarantee. It is a very popular powder offering a range of tighter limits relating mostly to the consumer experience. It's also fortified with vitamins A and D. Next we have Fortified Plus. It's an instant whole milk powder fortified with vitamins A, C, D, and also iron and zinc. Then we have Super Fortified Instant Skim Milk Powder. This is an instant skim milk powder full of vitamins and minerals. Next we have Protein Plus. This is a partly skimmed instant milk powder with 30% protein. That makes it 25% higher in protein than instant whole milk powder. Then we have the selection and our affordable range, and I'm going to cover these off in more detail. Some of you have received samples, and if you haven't already done so, now is a good time to prepare these as milks ready to taste when we cover each one. I'll discuss each of these in detail, of course, in the coming slides. One is a pure dairy powder being more affordable as it is half fat, but we have engineered it to maintain a creamy taste. Then we have our fat-filled milk powders. These have the fat replaced with palm oil. NZMP fat-filled milk powder has the same composition as instant whole milk powder and the same fortification with vitamins A and D. Nutri-White is a special low-protein powder designed as a beverage whitener and milky drink. It's fortified with vitamins A, C, D, and the minerals calcium, iron, and zinc. So before we look at each product individually, this chart is helpful for you to see the relativity on an affordability scale. Logically, the more powder is like full cream milk powder in content and taste, the higher the cost. So it's important to keep that in mind as we work through each of these products. First, let's take a look at Nutri-White. What consumer drivers it was designed to meet and how it does that. We became aware a while ago of a growing trend in many markets towards trading down to less nutritious products. Consumers often don't understand that these products lack the nutrition of milk. We would of course prefer full cream milk powder was the choice of consumers, but more and more low-cost blends and non-dairy creamers are replacing milk in diets. These powders don't provide basic nutritional needs, and consumers are not typically aware of these differences. So we saw an opportunity for a dairy-based powder that could deliver affordability, functionality, good taste, and superior nutrition compared to these low-cost powders. One of the biggest costs in dairy powders is the milk protein content. To make a significant impact on the product cost of a fat-filled milk powder, there is little choice but to reduce the protein content. Maintaining some natural dairy protein, though, is a really important nutritional consideration. Nutrite is 11% protein, and while that's lower than whole milk powder at 24% protein, if you compare it to non-dairy creamers, which we're seeing, as I said earlier, coming into the market a lot more, they typically have a protein content of between 1 and 2.5% protein, which makes Nutrite 4 to 11 times higher in protein per serve than these powders. This powder is designed also with excellent performance in consumer applications such as tea and coffee whitening or as a milky drink, and it has the extra nutritional package we call Vita Plus. Vita Plus adds iron, zinc, calcium, and vitamins A, C, and D to Nutrite. There are some interesting nutritional highlights about these nutrients, with some areas being highlighted here on the slide. When you remove the protein from milk, you also remove calcium. And calcium is a key reason many consumers value the nutrition of milk. So we have added enough calcium back to ensure consumers get the same level of calcium as full cream milk powder. Calcium and vitamin D are both important to bone and teeth health, and a common motivation for many consumers to include milk in their diet. But many low-cost powders do not fulfill this need. Also, amongst the many benefits of this nutrient bundle, in the current environment in particular, it is worth noting that iron, zinc, vitamins A, C, and D all have an important role to play in the immune system. They all contribute to the normal function of the immune system. That is, when one is deficient in the diet, there will be an impact on the immune system. And also, iron and zinc are important in the diet for normal cognitive function, both from a developmental point of view and for everyday busy people and students to stay focused. Now is the time to taste the Nutrite samples if you have them. Those with samples can start tasting while I demonstrate the powder in coffee and water. If you're in a group, taste the powder without discussing or influencing each other. Make some notes and consider things like aroma, sweetness, creamy flavour, and that's the taste you get as you exhale after consuming the product. Creamy thickness, mouthfeel, mouth coating, and the taste that you are left with. Once you have all tasted, you can then share your opinions with each other, and feel free to place comments on the notes that we have there. So, first let's take a look at the product in coffee. So you'll see that it sinks into the coffee really, really well, and it's very, very easy to mix. And we get a nice whitening of the coffee, and we get a nice clean spoon, so there's no lumps or material in there. And that's really important to consumers to feel like they're having a good product. Next, if we take water, the product also mixes in well. It's an instant product, mixes in well in water. Very easy to stir in. And we get a nice clean glass and clean spoon. And that's what the consumers want to see. So if you've tasted the product, you probably won't mistake it for full cream milk powder. But this powder has become very popular with comments that we get from consumers that it's creamy tasting in coffee and tea, and it makes a tasty milk drink. Now let's take a more detailed look at NZMP fat-filled milk powder. Fat-filled milk powder is certainly not a new product. It has been produced and traded for many years. However, what initially started as an affordable alternative to full cream milk powder is now recognised as a product group in its own right, and one of significant volume, as you can see from the slide. The global fat-filled milk powder market is continuing to show strong growth, with a 5 to 7% growth rate. NZMP fat-filled milk powder is an affordable, vitamins A and D enriched filled milk powder. It has the same component concentrations as instant whole milk powder, but with the milk fat replaced with palm oil. It offers good value, and whilst price is a ticket to the game, value is viewed as critical by consumers. They want to know that they're getting something for their money. So this product leverages Fonterra's whole milk powder experience and strengths. It contains the natural goodness of dairy. Many have commented to us, in fact, that NZMP fat-filled milk powder has superior instant properties and tastes better than competitor products. It's backed by the NZMP trusted quality commitment, and we only use sustainably sourced palm oil from RSPO. NZMP fat-filled milk powder remains strong in the inherent nutrition from milk. In fact, most of the nutrition in milk is attached either to the protein or in the aqueous phase of milk. So NZMP fat-filled milk powder provides much of the nutrition of dairy, but at a lower price point. All the nutrients in the glass on this slide are retained at levels found in instant whole milk powder. We then also fortify with vitamins A and D, and we also protect the quality of the oil to optimise the taste of the powder. So now is the time to take your NZMP fat-filled milk powder samples if you have them. Those with samples prepared can start tasting while I demonstrate the powder, and the same advice as last time. If you're in a group, taste the product without discussing or influencing each other. Make some notes and consider things like aroma, sweetness, creamy flavour, creamy thickness, mouthfeel, mouth coating, and the taste you're left with. Once you have all tasted, then you can share your opinions and put notes on the chat if you want to share it with us. Okay, so I'm just going to demonstrate this one in water. It also goes well in tea and coffee. So we see it sinks nicely into the water, and then it's very easy to mix. Get a nice clean mix. Spoon's nice and clean too. Typically the comments that we do hear, if you've been tasting them now, is that this has a thick, creamy texture and mouthfeel, very, very similar to full cream milk powder, but without the strong milk fat flavour. And actually what we find is many prefer a more neutral flavour, this product also has a really clean flavour with the palm oil not obvious like many competitor products. Okay, so now let's take a look at our all dairy affordable powder we call low cost pure dairy powder. The global whole milk powder trade has seen sustained upward price pressure for a number of years. This has in turn made the price point uncomfortable for many consumers. Fat-filled and reduced protein fat-filled powders are one solution, but in markets where the taste of dairy is valued, there can be a group of consumers willing to pay more for pure dairy, but they still need some price relief. So we developed NZMP low-cost pure dairy as a value-for-money alternative to instant whole milk powder. It contains the same protein content as whole milk powder, but half the milk fat. This powder is all dairy and it has no palm oil. It has the same protein content as full cream milk powder, but to reduce cost, we have removed some of the fat, but we have engineered it to maintain a creamy taste. It has a great taste, and for those consumers who value the taste of an all-dairy product, it is particularly of interest. It offers a commercial advantage, and it is more affordable than instant whole milk powder. Whilst we recognise that filled milks offer a larger affordability advantage, they do come with a different sensory profile, and this may not suit some consumers. Depending on the market, there is also the opportunity to call out the reduced fat aspect as a health benefit. Like the NZMP fat-filled milk powder, this product retains all the nutrition found in the protein and aqueous phase of milk, and here we also add vitamins A and D. Plus, we have engineered this product in such a way as to maintain a great creamy taste, and to add to that, it is naturally sweeter, but we haven't added any sugar. So now is the time to taste this product. If you have them, those with samples prepared can start tasting while I demonstrate the powder and water. And again, if you're in a group, taste the powder without discussing or influencing each other. Make some notes and consider things like aroma, sweetness, creamy flavour, creamy thickness, mouthfeel, mouth coating, and the taste you are left with in the mouth. Once you have all tasted, then you can start sharing your thoughts. So again, to demonstrate this product's dispersion in water, so it sinks nicely, wets nicely, and very easy to mix. That ease of use is such an important aspect to all these products for consumers. And you can see a nice clean spoon. So this product's all about having a true dairy taste and pure dairy claim, while managing to reduce cost from full cream milk powder. You'll find that it has a creamy flavour, that it is a flavour that you know, that creamy flavour that I'm talking about is a flavour that you notice at the back of the nose. Creamy flavour is experienced as you exhale. Receptors in the nose transmit this sensory signal to the olfactory system. You'll also be surprised at the creamy mouthfeel, considering the low fat content. It is where we have used our understanding of both the processing and the overall composition of the milk to offset the reduction of fat content. The other common comment we get is that this product has a sweeter taste than full cream milk powder. This is a natural sweetness from milk, and we've not added any sugar. That's the end of the presentation on the products. We've focused on 3 products in our affordable range. Milk powders in general, though, are an excellent, tasty and affordable source of nutrition. We have featured, demonstrated, and many of you have tasted these 3 products. Nutrilite being the lowest cost because it is low protein, but also has a great micronutrient bundle to address consumer needs. NZMP fat-filled milk powder being a low-cost alternative to NZMP instant whole milk powder with a great instant functionality, clean taste and creamy mouthfeel. Low-cost pure dairy being an all-dairy instant powder offers that genuine dairy cream flavour in a price-competitive package that will appeal to consumers that seek that dairy taste. I'll hand back to Jordan now and look forward to discussing your questions. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Gerard. I'm always impressed at how fast the Nutrilite dissolves into the water and that slightly sweeter taste of the low-cost instant dairy powder. Now, for those of you who are trying the 3 powders, I hope you enjoyed them. And one more reminder that if you have any questions, please feel free to enter them into the Q&A box on the side of the screen. Now we move into the last part of the webcast, where we will ask your questions to our panel. So let's welcome back all 3 presenters. Okay, now the first question here we have is for you, Shelley. So between providing affordability versus nutrition, which one is more important in delivering value to a consumer?
Yeah, great question, Jordan. I think it goes back to that first slide that I had right at the start of my presentation with that Venn diagram, talking about the nutrition element and the affordability or cost element, and both are equally as important. And that is really what delivers value. I think it's about understanding what particular nutrition elements your consumer target is looking for, and how do you deliver that through the cost price structure that you're working towards. So yeah, a real challenge, but something that hopefully today you've got a bit of inspiration on how to address.
Okay, thanks, Shelley. The next question here, I'll ask back to you, Shelley, and then we'll also get Gerard to answer it as well. Should we be single-minded when selecting a benefit, or is it better to have multiple benefits in one product?
Yeah, I mean, this has certainly been an interesting question, and one that we've been tracking through our global new product database. And the trend that we've seen is certainly a movement away from single benefit product communication through to multi-benefit product communication. There's a couple of reasons that we believe that's happening. First of all, I think improved nutrition and formulation allows brands to communicate more benefits, more end benefits, not just the nutrients, but actually what that delivers for the consumer. And also, I think, targeting multiple households, maybe different needs. People are looking for solutions that offer benefits across their whole household. So I think there's certainly many factors, but certainly we're seeing that movement towards multi-benefit product communication, both in the markets that we're focusing on today, but also in other markets as well. So definitely a global trend.
Okay. Gerard, did you have anything to add?
I agree 100% with Shelley there. We've certainly seen in the surveys that we've done that that's the case. But it's also important to think about that value for money versus price. So if a consumer sees several products on the shelf with the same price, they're going to look at what does one offer over another. And that's why in the creation of Nutrilite, we've added this nutrient bundle, Vita Plus, because what we see is that there are many low-cost products out there, but none of them sort of stand up with that sort of nutrient bundle.
Okay, thanks, Gerard. Good explanation. The next question is to you again, Shelley. What are consumers' top priorities when shopping for food and drink?
Yeah, we've done a lot of research around this area, and we definitely see some global consistencies. Certainly areas such around nutrition, so looking for a good source of fruit and vegetables comes up high within that priority. Obviously cost, thinking about that figure that I had, looking at 50% of people's income going towards their food shop, affordability is always going to be really important, but also good source of vitamins and minerals comes up really strongly, particularly in markets within South Asia. Other elements around supporting specific health benefits, so looking for things like high protein or low sugar comes in very strongly as well across the total food groups. So yeah, just reinforcing a lot of the things we've seen today, but definitely around nutrition, affordability, and good source of vitamins and minerals.
Thanks, Shelley. The next one here we have is for you, Gerard. Is Nutrilite similar to coffee creamer?
No. So if we're talking about non-dairy creamers, they're quite a different product. So they're typically just corn syrup solids and palm oil with a little bit of protein to emulsify the fat. Nutrilite, on the other hand, is made directly from skim milk and fortified a lot more, of course, but it has so much of the natural goodness of dairy coming through in that protein as well.
Okay, thanks, Gerard. And this next one's for you, Laura. Why do so many health authorities recommend dairy in the dietary guidelines?
And it's a good question. So most local and global authorities do still consider dairy or milk products and dairy products still an important part of a healthy diet, and that's because they are nutrient dense and there are many health benefits that come from them, and that's supported by a wealth of evidence we have. But also dairy consumption can contribute to an adequate intake of many important nutrients like protein, vitamin B12, calcium. So yeah, I think that's.
Okay, thanks. Now we've got one for Gerard and also Laura, but we'll start with Gerard first. Does plant-based protein complement or contradict dairy protein?
Right. What's really interesting about protein is that we talk about its value based on the amino acid profile. And often what we find, dairy protein is a complete amino acid source, and it has more than you need of many amino acids. So when you put it with a plant protein, some plant proteins are less full as far as supplying amino acids, and we can find that when you put the two together, you can actually end up with effectively a protein which delivers everything you need, because the dairy protein makes up for those differences, which I'm sure Laura can maybe speak more to.
Yeah, no, that's a really good technical explanation. I think from a holistic nutrition point of view, as nutritionists, we would always say it complements. We always recommend a diverse diet, and that diet would contain both plant proteins and dairy proteins as well, because they bring different benefits. So definitely a complementary effect.
Thanks, team. Okay, the next question is for you again, Laura. Does it make a difference whether a nutrient is naturally in a product or whether it has been added through fortification?
Yeah, no, definitely no nutritional difference between whether it's inherent or natural or whether it's been fortified. I think the main difference would be around whether or how it's delivered actually, and that's because nutrients do interact with each other. So, for example, the milk matrix, it supports the bioavailability of the nutrients in a milk matrix, and there's other additional bioactives that can help. So, yeah, definitely more around how it's delivered to what type it is.
Thanks, Laura. Okay, we have another question here for Gerard. So what product in your range has the most nutrition for the lowest cost?
Right. So obviously there's a balance there between nutrition and cost. From a protein point of view, the most affordable and nutritious product would be the NZMP fat-filled milk powder. From a micronutrient point of view, the Nutri-White, which is even lower cost but has that nutrient bundle, would be the most nutritious.
Okay, thanks, Gerard. Now we have time for just one or two more questions. So if there are any questions which aren't answered, we will follow up after the session today. So the second to last question we have is for you, Shelley. Why is the number of fat-filled launches in Southeast Asia so low? I would have expected it to be higher than 10%.
Yeah, so that comes down to the way we've calculated the number. So we're looking here at specifically new innovation that's launching into the market. We know that from our local analysts that we do have a lot of products that have been historically in the market for a while that do contain vegetable oil, and really combining that, I suppose, GMPD analysis with our local analysts, we're able to provide a view on what's happening in the local market. We've also seen a lot of innovation, as you've seen there with the Nigeria analysis, with over 50% of products launched having vegetable oil in it. So yeah, definitely we know it as a common formulation strategy, but not necessarily an innovation we've seen recently.
Okay, great, thanks. So we have run out of time today for any more questions. So we will follow up after the session today with any of the unanswered questions. So that brings us to the end of our Discover the Value NZMP Consumer Powders webcast. We want to thank you all for joining us today, and we hope you learned something and enjoyed it as much as we did. Also, thank you to all three of the presenters today as well. A reminder that the recording of today's session will be shared with you in the next few days, so please keep a lookout in your inboxes. And please reach out if you have any other questions or if you'd like some further information or samples of any of the products that we have talked about and discussed today. Lastly, you will all receive a link to a survey after the stream ends. Please complete this, as we'd love the feedback for future sessions. Thank you again for joining. See you soon.